I am Sherry Kafka Wagner. My life has been an interesting journey. I grew up in the hills of Arkansas. As I left school and sort of found my way, I got a job planning for the World's Fair in San Antonio, Hemisphere 68. One of the assignments I had was working with Alexander Gerard, who did the Magic of a People exhibit, which was an exhibit of folk art. I began interested in folk art. All of a sudden, I could see the creative process of people from all over the world, people who didn't have formal training in art at all, but they were creating and making these beautiful things, and very often with just whatever was in their environment.
I love it. I love how it's so accessible to everyone. Little kids love folk art, and then big people come in and they're like, well, they just made that out of paper. And you're like, yeah, but that's kind of cool. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of cool, isn't it? Do you want to hit this one or you want me to do it?
I want you to start.
Okay, well, my mom called me up and said that her friend, Sherry, she was looking for somebody to buy her folk art collection.
Tito grew up with folk art around him.
I could see someday having a bona fide folk art museum.
I never said I'm going to be a collector. I would be walking through Souk in Kuwait or India or Lisbon, and I'd see something and say, oh my gosh, look at that, that's so interesting. And I'd start talking to the person who made it or looking at how they made it, or they'd start telling me stories about it. And I would say, oh, I have to have that. That's one thing I like about folk art, and one reason I've been interested in it is because it's very accessible. Nobody ever feels put off.
It's all, you look at folk art, it's all just so colorful and happy.
I would buy things when I traveled. I have to bring it home so I can show it to my children and show it to my grandchildren and show it to my neighbors. And finally, I found I had a house that was just stuffed with stuff.
They did this amazing restoration of Pearl Brewery, transformation into the Emma Hotel. And at the Emma, they have this amazing library, and it's Sherry's collection.
Hey, all my books.
Yeah, all the books in there in the Emma in the library are all her books.
So I feel really happy that the books are here where so many people come in and browse through them and read them and enjoy them and use them, and that's made me very happy. So my books all moved in and became this library. Time goes on and I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do with all this folk art? And I got a phone call from Tito, and he said, I understand you want to get rid of all your folk art. And I said, yes. And he said, well.
I have always loved folk art and have bought folk art through the years and have filled my house with folk art to the point where my wife is like, you cannot buy another single piece of folk art. And then I was sitting there thinking, how do I do this thing? I should do it and just buy it and put it at the office. It'll brighten up the place and make a happy room. I don't know how you go into a room full of folk art and not be happy.
The very first piece of folk art I ever bought was this little king from Poland. He did have a scepter, but over the years it's been lost. And I'm going to put him right over here.
For me, it's like, I can remember where I bought all the pieces of folk art, where I was, and it takes me back to
me too.
Decades, to some little village, someplace, takes you back to where you were. It's kind of like smells, I think. You smell something and it takes you back to a time or a place.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
All the pieces, the objects in the collection come from 59 countries. I wish I'd been to all 59. It took me a few days to do this installation. It was fun to unpack it and put it on the shelves. This is from a man in Mississippi who's known as the Wire Man, looking at the creativity of people. This is prison art, and this cross is made by folding together Camel cigarette packages. And if you look really closely, you can see the beginnings of the camel. So someone took their cigarette packages and they found a little picture of Jesus and some little pink beads, wooden bead things. And then this is an incredible work of art. This is made out of toothpicks. And it has these wonderful little hinges on the back. And you raise it up, and inside there's been blue paper and painted for Kathy. That's pretty amazing.
I don't know. It's so hard for me to pick a favorite piece out of all this stuff, but I always love like folk art airplanes.
I particularly like this one made out of cans of a drink called Moxie. I'm so glad. It's almost like I get to send these things out into the world and they have a life of their own and they go on, and that makes me very happy.